Every thought we have results in either a positive or a negative emotion. These emotions affect every cell in our body. Is it possible that positive feelings, such as love and forgiveness, have the ability to heal us? And can negative feelings like hate and envy poison us? Many of our negative thoughts are based on unconscious assumptions that are planted during our childhood. Thoughts like, no one likes me, no one respects me, or I need to fight for my share. These thoughts become the foundation for negative feelings. Therefore, the events we go through are interpreted in light of these assumptions and are immediately perceived as being negative. This triggers the release of stress hormones like adrenaline and cortisol. If the levels of these hormones remain high for extended periods of time, they can cause serious illnesses, such as high blood pressure, heart disease, stroke, and depression. In her book, Everything You Need to Know to Feel Good, Candace Pert demonstrates that feelings are not just chemicals in the brain, but electrochemical signals that affect every cell in the body. As a result, the electrical state of the body is altered according to one's emotions and feelings, thereby altering the body's internal and external environments. In short, the type of inner energy we radiate attracts corresponding external circumstances, events, and people. Pert also states in an article titled The Physics of Emotion that we are not just little hunks of meat, we are vibrating like a tuning fork. We send our vibrations to other people. We broadcast and receive. Thus, the emotion orchestrates the interaction between all of our organs and systems. Each cell carries a reception device, and according to the type of emotion it receives, it changes its chemistry and electrical frequencies. And because every cell carries an electrical charge, the body as a whole creates a constant electromagnetic field. One study revealed that experiencing as little as 5 minutes of anger can depress the body's immune system for more than 6 hours. This means that such a person would be more vulnerable to illness, infections, and even cancer. In his book, The Sacred Balance, Professor David Suzuki mentions that the condensed molecules exhaled by an angry person over the period of 1 hour contain enough toxins to kill 80 laboratory animals. Negative emotions are toxic to the body and can upset its balance and harmony. In fact, they are a form of negative energy stored in the memory of every cell, resulting in pain and illness. So can you imagine the harm we bring upon ourselves when we allow our negative emotions to control us. It is normal for every human to experience some level of stress and pressure, but often this stress doesn't come from actual danger, but arises from internal negative thoughts. When we are not in control of our thoughts, we lose control of our emotions. One of the best ways to control our emotions is to practice the art of genuine love. It is not a passing feeling driven by hormonal urges. Love is an active effort. Love is a way of life. Scientific studies attest beyond doubt that love carries a remarkable power to achieve healing and wellness. When we experience love, caring, and empathy, our brains release a number of hormones, including oxytocin, known as the love hormone. This hormone protects against the adverse effects of stress, reduces blood pressure, improves our mood, and contributes to faster healing. Love is by far man's most precious energy, as God made us capable of healing ourselves through the emotion of love. It is no surprise then that the path of belief begins with love of our fellow man. In fact, there is no path towards faith except that of love of your brother and sister in humanity. As the Prophet says, none of you shall believe until you love for your brother what you love for yourself. The opposite of love is hate. Hate causes the release of adrenaline, which leads to negative consequences. These include the dilation of blood vessels, increased heart rate, and increased blood pressure. It can also cause longer-lasting effects, including depressed immunity, sleep disturbances, infections, the depletion of body energy, and in some cases, even death. This is documented by Dr. Barbara Rowland of Mayo Clinic. Hate, anger, and jealousy all cause high electrical frequencies and extreme hormonal disturbances that storm the body like an electrical shock, leaving scars in the neural pathways, disrupting and blocking the flow of natural energy in the body. Science discovered that hate is not the blind, irrational emotion we thought it to be. In fact, hate activates the parts of the brain responsible for reasoning and judgment. It also activates the parts that predict other people's reactions. Hence, hate is a premeditated evil, and perpetrators are consciously aware of their actions. This is why the law punishes hate crimes more severely, because during the crime, the individual is capable of judgment and self-restraint. The most effective way to treat hate is through the practice of forgiveness. Michael Bailey writes in his book about treating cancer, losing the ability to forgive is in itself a pathological phenomenon that adversely affects human health. People who refuse to forgive may feel as if they are punishing others, but in reality, they are punishing themselves. What would you think of someone who drinks poison believing that somehow it will harm his enemy? Among the most important aspects of managing our emotions is managing the feeling of stress. Every person needs a certain level of stress for optimal performance. However, the problem lies in the intensity of that stress and the individual's response to it. There is a positive motivation response that sharpens the senses, facilitates concentration, and inspires achievement. But on the other hand, there is a negative pathogenic response that makes the individual less competent and undermines self-control. This adversely affects behavior and health. Studies reveal that stress leads to the development or aggravation of 80% of all serious illnesses and underlies 70% of all visits to the doctor. In 2014, Suzanne Segerstrom at University of Kentucky and George Miller at University of British Columbia reviewed over 300 previous studies and found that any type of stress that lingers from days to months or years led to a reduction in all types of immune cells. They concluded that chronic stress and long-term psychological pressures destroy the immune system, rendering us more vulnerable to all kinds of infections and even cancer. Managing emotions effectively is the key to changing the brain. This is not achieved by repressing our emotions. Such a task is impossible. It is achieved by redirecting them to God through awareness and proper intent. For example, the feeling of jealousy can eat a person from within, but if properly channeled towards the divine, it can motivate us to compete and perform great deeds. God has granted us the ability to heal ourselves through awareness. It is only through awareness that we can control our emotions, change our negative thoughts into positive ones, and lead ourselves to greater health and wellness.